Bed Bath & Beyond went absolutely nuts this week, guys. Just like GameStop, just like AMC, we had another record-breaking stock squeeze. In this video, I want to break down exactly what Ryan Cohen was doing, why did he sell all of his shares just this week, causing the stock to tank, and what should we as retail investors do about it when stocks go from $8 all the way up to $25. Let's get into it. So Bed Bath & Beyond, I think for us to know where we are, we need to know where we started. So let's recap GameStop. It's actually one of the most popular videos on this channel is me talking about my gains in GameStop. So for anybody who's new here, during the original GameStop stock squeeze, I made like $400,000 from like $8,000, right?
Damn. I'm sorry.
This is why everybody gets so excited. This is why everybody goes nuts and basically is willing to risk all of their life savings to be a part of these historic events. The problem is, just like with GameStop, just like with AMC, just like with ESSC, right? We basically have BBBY now, Bed Bath & Beyond, another squeeze, which left a very small amount of people making a ton of money, and it left a lot of other people losing quite a bit of money and possibly even their life savings, which is what I want to prevent for a lot of you. So if we think about going again back to our roots, looking at GameStop, what actually happened? What was the story there, right? So we had a company who was long forgotten, their business model was a little bit outdated, and we had a ton of new interest due to a guy named DFV, aka Deep Effing Value, right? He bought a ton of shares, basically with the premise that the price was going to skyrocket. At the same time, there were companies who were shorting the shares, right? So shorting a share basically means that you think that the stock price is going to go down, and so you're betting on the downside. The only important part of that really matters, we won't get too deep into market mechanics, is that you essentially need a share in order to short a share, right? And then eventually the short interest got over 100%. That basically means that people were claiming ownership or responsibility for more shares than existed, and that shouldn't be possible. So what happens, even when you have high short interest, is that this creates the ability for people to raise the stock price, causing people who are short, who are betting on the downside, to have to buy shares to get out of their position. Well, if the short interest is over 100%, now you actually have something which is not supposed to happen, where gamma can increase really, really quickly, which is just one of the contributors to the change in option prices. And so all these people who have all these derivative contracts suddenly have to buy at the same time. Then you have people who know that that is happening who also start to buy at the same time. And then eventually that creates a squeeze on the price because you have all these different demand pressures happening at once. And that's the most important part of a squeeze, guys. It's not just that the short interest is high. It's not just that a bunch of people want to buy it. It's that these things all have to happen at the same time. And so that's what happened with GameStop. The reason why the price went from low 50s up to over $400 at one point. The reason why I was able to turn $8,000 into 400 grand in one trade, and then in another trade I turned like $5,000 into whatever other $100,000, right? Is because of these insane market mechanics which aren't supposed to exist. So that's the past. Let's talk about where we're going. So where are we today? GameStop happened completely naturally, right? We were in a time pre the advent of retail investing 2.0. Now in 2022, all the hedge funds have figured it out. Retail has figured it out. The game has changed, right? All the players have leveled up. Everybody's matured. And so now we're in a world where you basically have this virtual hype machine. And so after figuring out that retail was going to be super invested and getting as a part of these squeezes, if you go on the Reddit, specifically in the Wall Street Bets, which has completely changed, by the way, from pre-GameStop Wall Street Bets, which I was a part of, there are a gajillion comments talking about Bed Bath & Beyond. And a lot of these are bots. If you look at the account age for a lot of these, they're made in the past few days, the past few weeks. Now you're probably saying, well, Forrest, just because there's a lot of accounts made recently doesn't mean they're not real. Yes, that's exactly what it means, guys. If you're an investor, if you're somebody who's a part of these communities, you're an active participant. You've been an active participant for months. You're contributing to the research and due diligence that people are doing, and that's just not the case. That's not what is happening now. Essentially, hedge funds know that they can create liquidity via retail by creating a hype machine. So what does that actually mean? Well, liquidity just means the ability to transact, right? And so if I have a big bet, if I have millions and millions and millions of dollars that I need to transact, that I need to get out of, I want to create exit liquidity. And I can create exit liquidity just by creating this really big hype machine and getting a bunch of dumb money, that's you and I, to get in onto something that I have a really, really low cost basis on right now. So today, anytime you see a squeeze, be aware of and be afraid of and be conscious of the hype machine. Number two, this is something that people love until it bites them in the butt. There is no government agency who is actively out to protect you and I, right? There's the SEC, which is a reactive organization, right? So basically what the SEC will do is say, we see that so-and-so made a ton of money by doing something possibly illegal, right? They don't even charge people with anything. They basically just go, this doesn't exactly look right. We may or may not investigate them. And then a year, maybe 18 months later, they may actually start an investigation. The problem is that if you're a company, right, if I'm somebody who's acting through the veil of a company, I basically can exit that company. I've already gotten paid. You know, the SEC is not a proactive force who's looking out for you and I, nor necessarily do we want to leave our futures up to the SEC, right? Us as retail investors don't necessarily want this overarching, organization to tell us what we can and can't do. One of the downsides of regulations today in terms of trading, right, is the 25K minimum account rule, which drives me nuts. It's one of the biggest blockers to people being able to make money, but you can't even day trade unless you have $25,000 in your account. I today could turn $5,000 into $15,000 in a day, and I could do that 4 days in a week, but they basically are gating people from doing that for their safety, right? So again, just keep in mind that there's no agency to, look out for you, which means, and brings me into my other point, it is completely up to you guys. It's completely up to you, it's completely up to me. The money that we make and that we lose ultimately is up to us, guys. If you go onto the internet, there's people talking about, we need to go after Ryan Cohen, or we need to go after so-and-so. Look, guys, you entered the order. You're the one who bet your life savings. You're the one who took out a loan to try and flip it into twice this much, and you're the one who lost it all, right? This is the reason why you don't YOLO, right? The problem with YOLOing is that you could be right 99 times in a row. You turn $1 into $2, you turn $10 into $20, you turn $100,000 into $200,000, but then on the last trade, on the 100th trade, you turn your $500,000 into zero, and that's what happens when you YOLO all of your net worth into any crazy position, right? And so you always want to be responsible for, and you always want to take charge of your finances. Ultimately, it's up to you. It is not up to anybody else. It's your fault you got tricked. It's your fault you didn't do the research. And I don't say this to be an asshole. I've also been prey to this, right? I've gotten into positions purely based off of this seems like some really good research, but I just assumed that based off of how long it was, or something else silly, right? Maybe someone who had been right on a previous position now was wrong on this position, and I didn't actually read their research. I just saw that they did some research, so I followed the play, but then I noticed later, after doing my own research, it's actually a terrible idea, right? Ultimately, each of us, you and I, whoever you are watching this video right now, own our financial outcomes, and I want you to keep that in mind as we go into the last point, talking about billionaires. Billionaires are favorite type of person to worship here in the United States of America. Look, guys, I get it. I want to be rich, right? I've been working on getting my money up. My entire channel actually started about getting our money up, right? But billionaires in particular, or really anybody with a ton of money, particularly if they're invested in a company and a part of a movement that you get wind of late, right? You're not in at the ground floor, you didn't get in when they got in, does not have your future financial interest at heart, right? Ryan Cohen, even though he's an activist billionaire, he had an entry price that is different than anybody else. He owned a large sum of the company, and he was basically to move and shake in ways that we cannot move and shake. The amount of equity that he owns, or the size of his position, is so big that it actually moves the market. So one of the things you have to realize is that these people are not on your side. And even if they are on your side, by the nature of the market, somebody having a position being that big means that they can't be on your side. I'll say that again, guys. Trading and investing is a multiplayer game, right? And so if you have a position that is 10,000 shares and somebody has a position that is 4 million shares, they're gonna move the market in a way that you can't control. Even if they're not even trying to do it on purpose, right? Just the sheer size of their position is gonna move the price in a way that is probably detrimental to you, right? Just by them exiting and taking profits, it's gonna tank the stock price, and then you're gonna be left holding the bag, right? Retail, all of retail just end up being bag holders. Again, going back to what I just said, right? If you bet your life savings, if you took out a loan, now you either don't have any life savings, and now you have a loan of $30,000, $40,000 for some stock, and you just provided exit liquidity, right? Everything that you just sold at a loss, all of that money just went to Ryan Cohen to increase his billionaire status to billionaire plus 15%, whatever it is. He made hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't have the math in front of me. I was looking at the article the other day. But the point is, unless you're early, guys, for any squeeze, unless you're early for any crazy market mechanic event, you're late. And you'll know if you're early or not because the price will not have moved yet. The easiest way to know if you're early into position is that it's not being posted everywhere. You're not posting your gains yet. You've gotten in and the price hasn't moved, right? I was a part of ESSC and I basically turned, I don't know, 30 grand into like 200 grand or something in that. And I was holding that position for weeks. There was 2 weeks where the price action was just completely flat. People started posting about it. It started blowing up on Reddit, started blowing up on the internet. And then people started entering, and I like, those people were my exit liquidity, guys. Like straight up, like these people were the people I was selling to lock in my gains. They were all trying to do what I did. But the problem is that they didn't get it when I got in, so it's literally impossible for them to do what I did. So keep all of this in mind. Squeezes can be a great way to make a ton of money. Treat it more like a lottery ticket. Do not bet your future on it, just like a lottery ticket. Any money easily made is probably gonna be easily lost. First and foremost, whenever you make a dollar, protect it, guys. You gotta protect your profits. So many people, whenever they make money, think that they're playing with house money. That's not house money, that's your money. All right, money that you've made, you need to protect that money at all costs. When you make gains, do everything that you can to mitigate risk. Do not bet your life savings on these things, guys. I cannot say it again. Bed Bath & Beyond will not be the last squeeze for sure. There are going to be more. There are a few every day. There's always some 1,000% gain in the market. No matter what type of trading that you're doing, there's always some way to 10x your money out there. I've had 1,000% gains on SPX just doing that. You don't have to be a part of some crazy, stock squeeze in order to make a crazy amount of money. What you just need to do is be smart and be patient. So that's really it. I'll get off of my high horse now. Just kind of wanted to break down Bed Bath & Beyond. I did have one position, turned 400 bucks into $4,000, nothing crazy. I didn't bet anything crazy at all. I just threw some money at it like a lottery ticket, right? And then I made a couple $1,000. Now, did the thought slip my mind, oh, what if I put, $100,000 into that? I would have made $1 million bucks. Sure, but there's no way to know because literally a day later, the price crashed. If I did not exit that position, those $400 would be worth $0. That's how fast it changed, guys. There's no way to know. It truly is chance. And unless if I got in weeks ago, would have been even better, I would have made even more money. But again, I'm finally gonna get off my high horse. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, share this with 2 of your friends, and peace.